Hi everyone. In this video, we will show how to integrate your assignment with XRAuthor. First, we need to do some preparation. We have updated the XRAuthor Docker image. So you need to update yours and recreate the Docker container for XRAuthor. So you can use the latest version of the app. Okay. So we can quickly do this using the command lines. You can use GUI if you are more comfortable with GUI. So first, you need to stop the container if it's running. Then you need to remove the XRAuthor container. Okay, after stop and remove the container. Okay, then you can pull the latest image from Docker Hub. Alright, after updated the image, you need to recreate the Docker container. So first, you need to make sure you are inside the XRAuthor upload directory, okay, before you run the command to recreate the container. So as long as you in the right directory, okay, so again we can use the .run command here, okay, to use the latest image of XRAuthor to create the container. Okay, then we can use p2 okay. Now the new container is up and running. So this version of the XRAuthor is supporting extensions. Okay. Okay, so you can try this. Okay, in the browser to test if it's really working. Okay. Good. It's running. Okay. Okay. So we will use the first sample project to show how to integrate, okay, your code with XRAuthor. So basically, we will show how to build the project as an extension for XRAuthor to use. All right. So to make things simple, so we just use the very first sample project to show how it works. But for your project, it should work the same way. Okay. All right. So a few configuration of the project here. Okay. So one thing is you can see the d.ts file. I don't feel this particularly useful for our case. So if you want to make your project cleaner, okay, you can safely remove these files. All right. Okay, and disable the option here. So there's an option here. It's called tsconfig.json, and you can just comment out this line. I don't think this is really useful for our case. Okay, so this option is for generating all these decorations here. Okay. Okay, for the first Okay, so these for the first project. Okay, these are these sample code we have shown in the lecture. So it's pretty simple. So it makes things easier to understand how um, extension works. Oh, I forgot to mention there's one more change we have done to the XRAuthor. Okay. Um, all right. We changed the name of one directory in the assets folder. Okay. So here you can see uh, for editing data. So previously it's named as editor sessions. So to make the naming more consistent, we changed the directory name to editing data. So please rename the directory in your assets directory. Okay. So yeah, so the new XRAuthor will work properly. Thanks. Okay, so now we will show how to build your project as an extension to XRAuthor. So the idea is this. You still will use the standalone mode to develop your app. So it will be much easier for you to debug and to write code. Um, so we will still need the standalone mode. So we will add another Webpack configuration file to build your project as an extension, while still keep the standalone mode working. All right. So to do this, we need two entry points, one for the standalone version, and another one, a new one, will be for the extension version of your project. All right. So we will rewrite your the sample code a little bit to make things working. So first of all, the here, so we have the index.ts. This is the entry point for the program. Okay. So here, all right. See. Okay. So first, there's many way to make this work. I just show one way. Okay. If you figure out some better way, you can do all things your way. So it doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay. So first, we create init .ts file. So I just basically copied the index.tx to create a new init.ts file. Okay, because most of the code now in the index.ts file will be in the init.ts file. So this file will be um, uh, the code to initialize the app. Okay, that's the common code for both entry points to initialize your app. Okay. Okay. Remember we have functions on the create XRC function for XRauthor to call to create the scene of your app. So basically, we will use this function to initialize your program. Let me just copy the function here. Okay, so this is the API it's implement in your assignment for XRAuthor to call. Right. So the code here for initializing the app, okay, should be inside this function. Okay. And then the canvas ID and authoring data, okay, will be the arguments passed from XRAuthor's function. So basically, first you need to change the hard-coded canvas ID to a canvas ID parameter. Okay. Next, you can keep the code at the same ones. All right. Then next thing is you need to pass the authoring data to the constructor of your app. Okay, you can do this way. All right. Okay, it's complaining because we need to update your app.ts2. Okay. Okay, we can add the data put any type here, just for now. Okay, we will change this later, so just make things easier for debug. So we first try to see if the extension build works. In the constructors here, we can just put the third parameter here and okay. Alright, and it will stop complaining. Okay. Also, we can also change this to any. Okay, we can change this back to the proper type later. Just for now, we just want to build the extension and test if it's really working. So I just put any type here. Okay, so the data is passing here. Okay. Okay, it's not really complaining at all. Alright, we've got the okay. So because the if we go back to the webpack configure, it's still using this one, okay, which we haven't updated yet. Okay, the index.ts. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, so when you change a little bit, so this is the standalone app entry point. So first we can input from the init module, then we can import the the create XR string function. Alright, then simply we can just use this function to pass the data Okay, so for standalone, we use render camera. This is the ID, and because it's any data, we can just pass a string to test if it's really pass the data to the app. Okay, so we can say hello from extension. All right. Okay. Things is working, but we didn't see the message here. So okay, so it's supposed to. Okay, so here's the process. It's use the init create exas thing and pass string here. Then it will call your app constructor and give the data here. Then okay, it shows something here. Okay, it should be here. Okay, so we can test and use the console.log. So let's see any data from the okay, so we see the hello string here, okay, which means the entry point is working. Okay. Oh, this is the standalone entry point. Okay, let me just hit the hello from app. Okay. Okay, so the entry point for standalone app is ready and it's working. Okay, so we can keep coding just like it's really a standalone app. So next we will add an entry point for extension. Okay. Okay. Let's see. We create. Okay. The entry point. We call it index-ext. Okay. First. Again, you also need to import the module. All right. So instead of calling the create exhausting function, you actually need to pass the function to XRAuthor to use. So here is a very simple solution. Basically, we can do the following. Okay, so just one line of code here. So basically, it's create a JS object and add this object to the window global object. So the window object is available for all the scripts, JS scripts loaded on that website. So kind of we add the create extra thing function to the global scope. So XRAuthor whenever XRAuthor load the extension script, the create XR thing function will be available for it to call. All right. Okay, as simple as that. So, all right, we've got the entry point. Then the next thing is we need to create another Webpack config file. So The default one is called webpack.config.js. So this is default one. So again, let's go to the root directory here. So we can copy the webpack config.js file, then rename it. Not renaming, and we just create the new one. We can call it webpack.ext.js. So we just copy and create a new configuration file. So it will be similar, but need to do a little bit modification here. So first, we don't need HTTP plugin because the extension is just purely a JS file, so no HTML needed. Another thing is we need to specify another entry point for building extension, and we can put this to here. A subdirectory in the dist directory, and it's just purely TS. We don't really need it here. Yeah, we need TS loader. Okay, so things it will be used for on XRAuthor. Let's build this at production mode. So basically, you develop your app as a standalone, then build this app as an extension. So we need this extension and work efficiently. So we just build it in production mode. Then for efficiency, we will not include source map, and we don't need dev server and also this plugin, so we can delete all of them. Okay. All right. Okay, it's done. And okay, need one more thing. Where's the package? Here we need to add one more an npm script for building extension. So similar, we can name it build extension or build-ext. So it will still use the send command webpack, but instead of just using the default configuration file, so we can specify the configuration file we want to use for extension. So this is the one. All right. So when you use this script, it will use extension configuration file for building extension. Okay. All right. So let's try to run build. Okay, you can see we have something wrong. I think it's supposed to oh, sorry. We should use run build-ext. Okay. So this will build the extension instead of the app. Okay. Okay, and it's taking much longer to build the extension because it's using in production mode. It will do some optimization, so it's taking more time. Okay, here in the ext directory, we have the extension, so it's a standalone. It's just one single index.js file, and here that's all the bundle.code. Alright, so the license here is from Bubbling.js. We don't really need that for our case. Okay, so now we should test if the extension works. Alright, so for the new version of the XRAuthor, we create one more submission and here and one more field for submission here. So basically you can upload the extension to the server. Okay, so we can choose file. So just choose the index.js file here. Alright, then then submit to the server. Okay, alright, then we're back to the edit mode. You can see we have the false format, which is from your extension. Okay, something wrong. Okay. Actually, I uploaded the wrong file. Okay, then I upload the right file. Then it will work. So you can see the XR format here is from the extension. Alright, so whenever we choose XR format, it will show exactly the same in the whatever you can see in the standalone. It will also be shown here. Alright, and also from the console we can see instead of a string, actually the actual data actually is passed by the XRAuthor to the extension, and here is how the data looks like. Alright, so these all the data used by XRAuthor to create the three formats, and also the extension can use the same data to create one more format. Okay, it's working. So yeah, this is how you build your project. I mean your assignment as an extension to XRAuthor. So just create another entry point, update the configuration files, and build your program as extension, then upload to server, and then choose the new formats. Yes, that's the general process. Sorry. There's one issue for reloading the extension. Whenever you upload a new extension to the server will save it, but sometimes it will not really load it in the scene. I mean in the edit mode, it will not load the latest version of the extension. You can just refresh the page and select XR format. It will show the latest thing from the extension. Okay. Now the extension is working, so we need to think about development. So for the extension, it doesn't require an additional assets because all the authoring data are from XRAuthor. But for developing your app, it does need a source of data. So we create a npm package. We call it XRAuthor loader. So you can use the package to load the assets from an XRAuthor, then use it as authoring data, okay, for developing your app. Okay, so the data object will just have the same structure as the one you can get from XRAuthor. So they are exactly the same. Okay. Okay, so you basically can use these assets to develop your app in standalone mode, then build it as an extension. Okay, so first we need to configure our project to use static assets. So let's go to the default Webpack config file. So for the first sample project, we don't use any static assets. So we disable this option. But now we do need. We can just simply turn out this option because by default it's just enabled. Okay, so for dev server, to look for the static assets, it will just look for a folder called public. So basically we will create the public folder in the root directory of the project. Okay, now we are in the root directory, so let's just make the public folder here. Then we can simply copy the assets, okay, from XRAuthor uploads directory. Then use the XRAuthor loader package to load all the assets as authoring data for you to use in your app. Okay, let's just copy assets to the public. So don't use the same command line here because my paths are different. My path will be different from yours. So just copy the file, okay, properly on your machine. So let's see. Okay, in the public folder we do have assets and also these two topics. Okay, the two directories for the two topics. Alright, so we got the configuration correct and we got the assets. Okay, so next thing is install the package. So we can see, alright, so we can just install the XRAuthor as development on dev dependency. Okay, so this is the shorthand version of the npm install command. So I think you are already familiar with npm command, so we just use the shorthand. So I for install, -d, capital D for dev dependency. So because for extension, the XRAuthor loader just is a dependency for development. So I install this as dev dependency. So you can see it's here. It's still very early version, so it's 0.0.2. Okay. All right. Okay. So as long as we have the XRAuthor loader, we can just use it to load the assets as Austrian data. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so now for the entry point. So instead we can just work this first. Okay. Okay, we can start from the entry point here. Okay, instead of just pass the string, we can load the assets and pass it as Austrian data. Okay, so we remove this line, then use the function from the package to load assets. There's a function called load Austrian data. Okay. Okay, let's just see. It's not. Okay, then we import the XRAuthor loader here. Okay. Okay. There are two things here we can import. One is called Austrian data type. Okay, that's the type of the data. And then another is the load Austrian data. That's the function for you to load the assets. Okay. And then we just use this one. Alright, so it takes two parameters here. So first is the topic path. So it's the relative path to the topic directory. So in our case, the path will relative to the public folder. So the path should be assets. For example, we use water, okay, as an example. Okay. So next thing is the session index. This is optional argument. By default, it will load your first session because you can record multiple sessions, right? You can record many different sessions. So by default, it's just load the first one. So you can just safely just ignore that if you're using the first session. It's a async function because loading may require some time. So it's async method. It will return the a promise. So we need to call a then and pass the callback function to pass callback function to the load Austrian data function. All right. So basically, it will return the data in Austrian data format. Okay. Then we can really load the data and create the existing using the Austrian data here. Okay, so for standalone, we still use the run the canvas, and we need to put the data here. Okay. Okay. Okay, something wrong. Okay, then load is on. Loading topic, loading meta. Order is not there. Okay, we might need to restart the dev server because we changed the configuration. Okay. I hope this will work. Okay, then it will looking for the public directory. Yes. Okay, the loader is working. Okay, you can see the output. The loader is on. Then it's loading the topic order and looking for the metadata. Loading the first session. Then we get the video. We get the recording data and also the models. There's something wrong. It's okay because we haven't finished my code. We just try to use the loader to get the assets. Okay, remember we have the line here in app here, the first line here. Okay, it's just use the console to print any data we get from the entry point. So you can see that's the actual authoring data from the loader. So if you can see, it has the exactly same structure as the one you can get from XRAuthor. Okay. Right, then we can continue to work on the project. So next thing, for okay, so the entry point here, it will use init. So next thing we need to update the init here. So since we have the data type, so instead of using any, we can use authoring data for us. Okay, okay, automation is working. Okay, good. All right, so we've got the right type. We've got the canvas ID. Did we use? Is this problem? Okay, I think we've got the issue here. Should be run the canvas instead of rendering or renderer. Okay. Okay, we'll fix the issue. Okay, then canvas ID. Yeah, we pause. Let's try this. Okay, all right. Okay, we got the data. That's great. And pause the date here. The next thing is go to the app. So again, we now have the data type. We can just use authoring data type instead of using any. Okay. Okay. Since we have the data type, so we can have some benefits from the type. Okay. So basically we have some comments here you can check out. So this is the properties of this data object. Meta models, video, recording data, editing data. Okay. Right. Now we have the data, so we can do something. Okay. First, we can use the video data to create a video player in the scene to replay whatever you have recorded in XRAuthor. So here we will have the new content for the sample. Okay, so right out the hello plan. So we will create a video plan. Okay, that plan will use to display the video content. Okay. First we need define the size of the video. Okay. So first we define the video height. So we put 5 here. So it's a proper size for the screen we have now. And then we need to build the plan. But first we probably need to calculate the width here. Okay, so because the video has aspect ratio, okay, so we only need to define one the height, and then we can calculate the video width. Okay, so you can find the aspect ratio in the data. So we use video height times with the data dot. So we have it's in the recording data aspect ratio here. Okay, then next we create a video plane. Okay, use the match builder create plane. Okay, so video. The first is the none. Okay, so next is the size. Okay. Okay, we got height, video height, and width. Sorry. Video. And we just give the thing. Okay. Alright, so then we on the video we just define the video plane's position. So remember we have the hollow plane here. So we should put the video a little bit behind the hollow plane, so we can still see the sphere and the hello XR message here. So position that should be okay, just 6, so a bit behind the message. Alright, so next thing is we need to create a video material. Okay, so it will be a standard material. Standard material. Then we need the video video texture for the material. There's video texture class here. Let's give the name texture. Okay, then this is source. So because it's a video texture, so it will need a video source. So we can just use the data to get the source. Okay, so we have a video property here. So it's the video URL for the source, and then we get the string here. Okay. So it's a video texture, so it's better to set the opt plane to false. I think it is okay. Plane to false. The video texture has a property called video. It will get the HTML elements, the video elements, and then you can use opt plane property here. Okay, so set the opt plane to false. Then okay, we got this. Okay, so next thing is we already got the texture. The next thing is set the texture to the material. It's the diffuse, not diffuse color, diffuse texture. Okay, then some additional settings for roughness. And we need to set a immersive color because this is a video, so it's supposed to emit lights. Okay. Think about it, it's a television. Okay. Alright. So white color should be good enough. Video line material. Get the video material. Okay, let's see how it works. Alright. Okay, we can see the video here. I cannot move. Okay, because we are using the default light and the camera. I think the default one is using the arc. No, we want to use the appear style. Click those two. Attach control to. Okay, see, we have a plane just behind the sphere and a message. Okay, so if we where's the opt plane? Okay, if we set opt plane to true, that will just send the video.
This demonstration shows how to form chemical equations for combination reactions. The combination reactions.
Okay, it's working. Some browsers will mute the video, even you set the opt plane to false. I guess this is how this is due to the way WebJS use the video texture. So Okay, so wherever you create the video texture, Public.js will create a video uh, element there, and just play the video directly. Even I set the auth20 false, it will still play the video for a very short amount of time before I really the code really set the auth20 false. Then some browser will mute the video if it's just start to playing after you load the page. So here is the small trick you can fix this. If you do have the problem, this is optional. If you do have the problem, you can add the following line of statement here. Okay. So for video texture, you have to set the outline to false. You can use that. I don't think there's any harm. The texture and the user action requirement observer. Okay, so wherever it requires user action event, okay, you can just okay, yeah. So just give a callback here. Just do nothing. You just add the empty callback function there. For my case, it's kind of solve the problem because I do sometimes have the issue like the browser just mute the video or even have some weird behavior. So I just use this line to solve the problem. Okay. Okay. So next thing we can add some control. Okay, the video player controls. Okay, so instead we just auto playing or not auto playing the video, we can just add some control. We can just use the video playing as a control, so we can add some behavior on that. So as long as we click on the playing, it will play the video. Then we click again, it will just pause the video. Okay. All right. So let's do this after here. Okay. So for this, because it's not the video playing, I mean the video texture is not a part of the GUI library. So if you can see, like in the last lecture, we used the GUI, the create object using some type from the GUI library, right? So by default, they come with some control method there. Then you can just add the callback function to the observables, I think. But the video texture is not a part of the GUI library, so it don't have this kind of method on the object. So instead, we can add, callback functions to the observable of the scene. Okay. So not point down. It's just point observe. Okay, it's not the event. It's just observable. Okay. Okay, so this callback function will do the event data. Okay, the event data we might use it. Okay, and event data. First, we check if it's clicked. Let's see. Alright. So to have the callback, we have okay. Because the observable have a different type of event, so we don't really want every event will call this callback function. We only need when need event when the video plane is picked by mouse or any kind of pointer. So it's point event type. It's the pointer pick. Okay, so whenever we click on the video plane, okay, we can see the message here. Alright, then let's check. Because it's the themes, observable. So whenever you click anything in the scene, it will give you the event. The next thing we will check here, the scene is picked, and the actual object is the picked object is the video plane instead of other objects in the scene. Alright, so we can get this from events data pick info. There's a called picked mesh. We check out if this is the video plane that is picked. Okay, so if it is picked, let's see, let's also get the message here. Video fine. Okay, else we will see what. Okay, we can just maybe put the event date that they pick the mesh here. So you see what is picked. Okay, we got video plane. Alright, then we pick the sphere. Here's something else. I mean the message here. Okay. Alright. Okay, so whenever the video plane is picked, we can use video texture dot video, and we choose the plane. So whenever, and wait a minute. Okay, so we need another if else statement because we need to play and pause depending on whether or not the video is playing. Okay. If video slide. No, that's the mess. Okay, we can read both. Okay. We'll put this one inside. If okay, then else if it's not paused, we can pause it. Okay. We don't really care about this one, so we can just remove this. So we can see if this, okay, if video plane is picked, then we check if it's post. If it's post, we'll play it. If it's not post, then we'll post it. Right? Okay. Then instead of saying it's picked, we can also show a message to to show whether or not it's playing. So video. Okay. Okay, we can try post. Okay, we can try play. We can try different property here if this works. Okay, if it's played, then we I'm not sure playing. If it's playing, okay, doesn't matter. Let's try this. Playing post. Okay, it's watching. Picked. Playing. Oh, it's always playing. Doesn't work. Because it's playing, okay, it's not playing. Okay, then I think it's better to use post. If it's post, we say post. And if not post, then we say it's playing. Okay, picked, playing, picked, post, picked, playing, picked, post. Okay. Alright, I think that's it. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the video is working. I think this is a good time to check if the extension building still working. Okay. Alright, then we should run the build extension here. Okay, so let's submit the file. Okay. Okay. It's refresh. Okay. Yeah, it's really working.
This demonstration shows how to solve chemical equations.
Alright, great. Okay, so we have the video. So next thing, we will try to load and play the animation in your in the sample XR scene. Alright. Okay, so which means if we check out the data object here, so basically we need the recording data here. So we have animation here. So basically we need to load all these data for animation. Okay, duration, tracks, and all these matrices and times for you to create an animation. Okay, let's see. So all these tracks, these tracks for different markers. Okay, so this is the marker IDs, M0, M1 to M6. Okay, so it means the first marker, then the second. Okay. Okay, we need these IDs to retrieve the data. Okay, for that markers. Okay. So for example, okay, just we can just retrieve the animation data for one marker and create the animation, and also then use the animation data to animate the sphere here. Okay. Alright, so okay, well first we get the ID. So I use M2 because in this video M2 the marker is the first I moved around, okay, in the video. So we just use this to save some time. Then we need to get the animation track for M2, I mean M2 marker. Then we get this from the recording data, animation, and we have track, and the value is this one. Okay, so yeah, so for TypeScript, we do have the if we are not sure about the structure of the data, another way to check out the structure is just use the comments we put that in the type. So you can check out the structure here. So each tracks, sorry, the tracks has multiple tracks. Okay, then you can see the overall structure of the data. So for tracks, it's dictionary. So in JS, there's not much difference between JS object and the JS dictionary because basically JS just using object to as a dictionary. We can use JS object as a dictionary because the keys are the properties of the object and they are unique. Okay, so in our case, the tracks object, or we can see tracks dictionary. The keys are the marker ID, for example M0, M1, and the value is the object of times and the matrices for each track. So you can see this is the key, and each key have a value. The value is the JS object. Have two properties, times and elements. Sorry, times and matrices. They are both arrays. Okay. So either you just check out the instance in the console, or you can check the type. Okay. All right. So we got the track here. All right. So here's the trick. There are two major differences between Barbie.js and the one I was using for XRAuthor, which is another popular framework called A-Frame. They have different way to handle the animations, and they have different type coordinating system. So the Barbie.js is use a left-handed coordinating system, and the one in A-Frame is the right-handed. And for animation, A-Frame built the animation tracks using matrices and the times for each frame. But for Barbie.js, it uses the frame index. So if you follow the previous live coding session, you do see in the array, okay, it's using the frame index. It's not really using the actual time for the frame. It's one thing. And another thing is, I feel like for Barbie.js is for the animation, not bone animation. So we are not using bones and skeleton. It's kind of I only find APIs for you to manipulate the position and rotation and scaling, individually. But A-frame can, create the animation tracks just directly manipulating the matrices of the object, which is more, in my opinion, is more concise way and more advanced way to do the animation. But it's okay. I can show how the data from A-frame work with BibleNJs. Okay, but it's a bit complicated than the video one. Okay. All right. So first of all, we need to convert the times to frame indices. Okay. So which means we need the length of the times. So basically it's an array, so we need to know how many times. Basically we need to know how many frames we have. Okay, then we need to calculate the FPS. Okay, so the total number of frames divided by the total duration. Okay, so this is the FPS because the duration is the total time of the animation in seconds. Okay, so that's the total number of frames. So we get the frame per second. Okay. Okay. So the next thing, we need keyframes. Okay, we create an empty array to hold all the keyframes. So because BibleNJs don't really manipulate the matrices directly, so we need to, for example, if we want to manipulate the position of the object, we need to extract the information from the matrix to get the position vector. All right, and also if you also want to animate the rotation and also the scaling, then you need to extract all these data from the matrices and create multiple animations, okay, for the object. Okay, so we can simply use a for loop. Okay. Okay, we got length. So we can use the for loop to get the position vector from the from each matrix in the track. Okay, first we need to create the matrix in BibleNJs because they are two different frameworks, so their data structure to hold the matrix information a bit different. So instead I just save the matrices in the A-frame format. I actually save the elements of the matrices, okay, only in the JSON file, which means it's a array of 16 numbers. Okay, so BibleNJs has matrix dot frame from array function we can use the matrices. So each track has multiple matrices, one matrix for one frame. Okay, so we give the index and get the elements. Okay, this way we can construct the oops. Okay. The matrix is in Babin.js. Okay, the next thing we extract the position vector from the matrix. So there's a method called get translation. Okay, so it will get the translation information. Okay, so something we need to do here. Okay, we need to convert position from right-handed to left-handed coordinate system. Okay. Alright. Okay, I will show how to do this later, but let's just finish things first. You can see if we do nothing, what will happen. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so then we get the keyframe. Sorry. How come it's not? Oh, sorry. Value. Okay. Okay. All right. So then we add one frame to the keyframes array. So it's a JS object. Frame. Okay. So this is the frame index. So we need to get the times. Okay. The time for the current frame times the FPS. Okay, then we got the frame index. Okay, so value. Okay, so the position here. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Then up this we have the keyframes. Okay. Then we can use the method we have used in the previous live coding session to create the animation. New animation from Babin.js. Okay, animation. Then the property we need to manipulate is the position. Then we need the FPS. So give the FPS. And the data type is the animation type, wait a minute, animation, what? Okay, animation type, okay. It's vector 3. And loop mode. Cycle. Okay. Now we set the animation to right there. Okay. So we can use a similar technique we used before. So we set the sorry. We just add the animation to the sphere. Okay. Okay, then we can use the scene to explain the animation. So we got the sphere as the one, and the number we have length. So that's the length minus 1. So this is from So yeah, index from 0 and length minus 1 is the last index. Okay. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, it looks it's behind our camera. Okay, because there's two different coordinate systems. Okay, so we can quickly fix this. Okay, I will not explain why I, use this formula. But if you're familiar with the two coordinate system, so basically they just have the it converts this way. All right, so it's the right position here. Okay. Okay, now the that position is correct. Okay, I can see it's moving, but the problem is it's not at the okay. The problem here, because it's animated at the sphere's original position, so it's not. We need to move the sphere to some position in at the video plane here. Okay, so basically we need to move the sphere to the position which is the plane position. Not plane position. I mean at the depths, okay, of the plane. So the problem is we need to change the depths based on the animation data. Okay. So for perspective projection, So we can simply use a scale for the positions x, y, that value. Okay. I will not explain the mathematics here. Okay, I just want to show how it will work. So here is the value. I mean the depth we want to move the sphere to. Okay, the scale for the position will be the desired depth divided by the current one. I mean the one in the animation tracks. Okay. Okay. The next thing is you can scale down, not scale down, maybe scale up, whatever. So just use the scale to update. Okay. The position. Here you can see the sphere is just moved to the right depth. Okay. All right. So okay, it's still moving, all right. Another problem here is the size of the video plane we are using now might be different from the size of the one used by XRAuthor when the recording was made. So we can see the animation is not quite right, even when the set or depth is okay now. So because the size is different, so the movement on the XY plane, or we can say video plane, is a bit small. So we need to scale up the XY values to make movement to match the size of the plane we are using here. So basically we need to increase the magnitude of the translation vector on XY plane or video plane. So we can simply multiply some scalar value with x and y. So so we need to experiment the number a little bit. So for this case, we can multiply by float here. So in this particular case, we can this number here. Okay, so we'll keep the depth scale and then make the xy a little bit bigger. Alright. So okay, now we can see and the sphere just actually cover one of the marker, okay, perfectly. Okay, and it's moving according to the animation. Okay, so this is only for position. So for the example here, the main change of the matrices are caused by position, I mean translation. But in your case, you might need rotation too, but you can use a similar way to extract the rotation from the matrices and create a rotation animation, and you can play the rotation animation with the translation or position and animation together. Okay, so the animation is working now. Then one more thing we need for animation is add animation controls. So if you want to sync the animation and the video, so basically you can add animation control. Then while playing the video, you also playing the animation. Then okay, the virtual object will just works like augmented reactive video, okay, which we have seen in the original XRAuthor, formats, okay. All right. So to do so, instead of using the theme to begin animation, we can create animation group. Okay, so the animation group have more control over the animations, and also it's a nice way to group multiple animation together. In our case, it's especially useful because you have multiple models. For example, we have in this case we have 6 markers, which means we have 6 models, and basically the matrices for all these models, you will have multiple animations for multiple objects, and each object even have different tracks, like for rotation, one for scaling, and maybe one for position. So you can use animation group, then put them together, then have control over all these animations. All right. So okay. So first we don't need the animations here, and we don't need themes dot begin animation. So instead we create animation group. We just call this animation group. Maybe you will have a better name for this. For the sample, we just use animation group here. All right. So now we have the animation group. Then we need to add the control to the video texture code here. Oh, we just okay. So we just created the group. I need to do one more thing. Got. We need to add the animation to the group. Yeah, of course. So we add targeted animation. Okay, so we have the animation here, and also at the target, which in our case now is the sphere. Okay, then we add the animation to the group, then we go to the video control here. Okay, then whenever we start the video, we also start the animation. Okay, so animation group, we can play group. Yes. Okay, then if it's post, we also post here. Alright, so click on the plane. Okay. Okay. All right. So we got this work. Okay. All right. So the next part, we will show how to use the model information to load the molecule models, and also animate these models according to the recordings. Okay, let's see. Alright, so we don't need a sphere. Okay, so we still need the animation group and animation, but instead of we animate the sphere, we will load the model, a molecule model, and animate that model, okay, instead of the sphere. Okay, so first we need to get the model information from data, authoring data. So we've got recording data, we have model information here. So again, I can check out the structure here. So again, it's a dictionary or object. So the key is marker ID, and the value is the data object for a model. Okay, so the label, color, and the name. Name is the model file name, and label is the text label. Just show the name of the molecule. So color is for if you are not using a model, you are using a primitive geometry. So that color is for that geometry. Okay. So basically, we give the key here. Okay. So for JS, it's a bit different from the C++. So the property of object, the name of that object, the name of the property, you can get the property of the object just using the syntax like array. Okay, so it's a bit different. Okay, then we can get label and we can get the name. And also we got name, and we need the URL of the model. So the data, there's a model dictionary here. Okay, if you see here again, key is the name of the model, and the value is the block URL. So that's the source URL for the model. Again, we can use the square brackets to get the property of the models. or we can see the key is the key should be the model name, right? To get the value of the key. Okay, yeah. All right. So then we can load the model. So if you remember, we last time we load the model, we use import mesh or import mesh async. But this is for you to load the model from a file. Now, because the file already loaded, so it's just have the block in the memory, and the URL is the source address to retrieve that model from memory. So we use another method we call append. We can use append or append async. Here I think maybe just use async because it might take time to load the model. Okay. Alright, so first we give the URL. Alright, then the thing file, we don't need that because we have the URL, the complete URL to get the model. Then we have the thing, and the next thing is progress callback function. We don't need that. Alright. Then the plugin extension is the file extensions because it's .glb, so we just put .glb here, and we finished. No, we then call. All right. Okay. Did I miss anything? Okay, I think that's the pen thing. Yeah. Progress. I think that's the one. Why is not showing? It's return a promise. URL. Why? No. Manual. Not sure what's wrong here. We will get the result. So the callback here is a bit different from the import mesh, and the import mesh will return the object of the mesh. Here it will return the result as the thing, so it will return the thing itself when the model is loaded or appended to the scene. Okay. Okay. So remember, for GLB or GLTF models, when Babin.js load this kind of model, it will add a root object to the model. So basically, we can get the root using the results object. So there's a method here called get mesh by ID. By default, the root object will be called, or not be called. It's also be called, but the ID is also the ID is this, and for root here. Okay, that's the Puppet.js convention. All right, so all the GLB or GLTF models will have this root, and its ID is underscore root underscore. So it's better give unique ID instead of use the default one, because you will load multiple models. So it's better to give unique ID and a name and to the root. Okay, so we rename this. We can use the label and to as the name. If the label is not enough, we can also use the ID plus label. Okay. Okay. So we create a string with ID is the mark ID. Then we also have the label. Okay. So yeah, this is one way to create the ID. Okay. And for the name, we can use just the label to name it. Yeah. Okay, then when the model is loaded, then we can use the animation group here to set animation to the root. Okay. Good. Something is wrong. Alright. And it's fine. Okay. Because this is the very first sample project, we don't really add the Puppet.js loaders. So again, we need to install Puppet.js. I think it's called Puppet.js loaders. Okay, Puppet.js loaders. Okay, so let's check out the. Okay, we got loaders. So I didn't use the dash save here because by default, npm will save the dependency in package.json. But for previously, you need to use the save flag. Okay. Alright, so let's do need something. Okay, we need inputs. We need first type imports, I think. Loading. Okay. Alright, it's working. Okay, let me resume. I mute the sound and resume the animation. Okay. Or I don't know. Yes, rolling. Okay, great. But there's one more issue. Here you can see at the beginning, the model is not really at the initial position of the, I mean at the position of the first frame, right? It's just stay at the original position when we load the model. Until we play the video, it will just set to the position of the first frame. So we can fix this by one more line. So after you, I believe after you load the, after you add the animation to the group, so you can use animation group.reset. So it will reset all the animation, I mean the target to the initial position of the animation, which means the first frame. Okay, the position of the, not the position, it's actually the set the state, okay, to according to the first frame of the animation. Okay, because it can be, position can be, scale, can be rotation, even color, or other states. So it's not just position, it's just reset all the states to the according to the first frame of the animation. Yes. Okay.
This demonstration shows how to form chemical equations for.
Okay. Okay, let's see anything else we need. Okay, so we have final piece to complete. So we have the model, we have the animation, we have the videos. So we have one last thing in this tutorial. We want to add a label to the model to show the name of the molecule. Okay, so in this case, H2O. All right. So we will reuse the hello plane to display the label. So for your assignment, it probably will create you know a text plane for each model. Okay, for the sample, I just reuse the hello plane here. So as long as you have the texture, no, sorry, the text plane here, so you can easily change the parent of the text plane, made to follow the model, and also change the text to the name of the model. Sorry, the label of the model. Okay, to show the molecule name. All right. So let's do this. Alright, so after we have the model here, before we add this to the animation group, okay, we have the hello plane here, so we can use hello plane set parent to root. Okay, so the root will also be the parent of the hello plane. Okay, then we have the hello planes, not hello planes. We have the hello text, right? So we change the text of this text object to the label here. Okay, something wrong. That's nice. Okay. In the wrong position, which means we need to set. Okay, so we need to set the position of the text apply. Okay, okay, so before we attach the hello plane to it, first we need to reset the position of the plane to to 0, 0, 0. Okay, to the water origin. Reset this. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's working. Okay, but it should be a bit load model. Okay. Okay, so the should be load model a little bit. Okay. Okay, there's that fighting here. So maybe also if okay, so instead of 0 should be a bit before. Oh, okay. This is left-handed coordinate system. Sorry, I use this in the right-handed. It should be minus. Okay. Okay, looks good. Okay, so the label should move with the model. All right, all work. Okay, we have label, we have animation, we have model. So, okay, so one last thing we need to test if everything is working fine as an extension. Okay. Okay, so after you develop your app, then we build this to an extension for XRAuthor to use. So, by the way, so I put everything here and in one joint function. It's not good practice. So for your assignment, we expect you have better code organization than the samples. Okay. And I just showed the how to use assets for one model. I think you will be able to figure out how to use the assets for others. Okay. All right, let's go here and load the new extension, submit there. Okay, we just refresh the page to make sure it's loading the newest one. Okay, here's all is working fine. Okay, great. All right, I think that's all for this tutorial or sample demonstration, whatever. Okay, thank you everyone.